Hi everyone and welcome to the Recruitment Brothers podcast. With an age gap of 17 years and two heavy Swedish accents, we're here to cover everything about, yeah, you guessed it right, recruitment.
And now over to the older brother Rickard. Welcome to our podcast. Although recruitment is our focus, we will also talk about sports, business development and leadership. And we will invite some inspiring guests. Let's get straight into it.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode, actually, of the Recruitment Brothers podcasts. How is your Friday going, Rickard?
All good, all good. I have a deep work week from Uppsala, Sweden, our hometown, and in a small village outside called Vattholma. Vattholma is famous by a brand, Martin. What brand is that? Also a brother company.
Famous by a brand. Oh, you mean Dave and John's, the ones that produce these natural candy. Yeah, true.
If you read on the back on the package, it say like, yeah, we are from a small village called Vattholma. We are two brothers. So it's pretty fun. We need to interview them.
Yeah, absolutely. They have gone really, really big. I even sometimes when I'm here in Spain, in Barcelona, I see their, they make these flavored dates and bags with like mix of nuts and stuff. And I see them even here in Barcelona. And they're still branded with, from Vattholma, Sweden. So it's cool to see that Vattholma is being represented around in Europe. But nice. Cool, Rickard. How long are you there for?
Yeah, I'm leaving now over the weekend again. So this is a Friday and I leave on Sunday. But I have been doing a work week from Sweden. Started in Stockholm and had some meetings in Uppsala and then went to our father's place and have had some deep work days. And it's really nice actually because we have been in this kind of 100-day period of a project in the company. And I would say that we finalized everything last Friday with a virtual kickoff internally. And that was like the final part of that 3 to 4 month project. And it felt like I got a release of something, I don't know. So then going here and working remote for a week have been amazing.
Nice. Yeah. Place to breathe out. It's a lot calmer in Vattholma, the little village we're from, than compared to the bigger cities that we normally live in. So I can imagine. That was nice.
What is new for you?
Yeah. What's new? I think we've been, like you say, focusing a lot on finalizing this 100-day plan internally. We had a great kickoff that you mentioned, these quarterly awards that we usually run in our company. And no, I was proud to see some of the colleagues that I've worked very close with and onboarded and, coached, that they were there on the podium. It's made me very proud. So it was nice to see. And it gave you like an energy boost for the rest of the year, for now Q3 and Q4, to finish off the year in a good way. So no, all good on that front.
Nice.
But yeah, today's topic, Rickard, is gonna be one that we are, I would say, experts without being too cocky here. And it's about living and working abroad. And not only because we both live and work abroad today, but also because we recruit cross borders and often relocate people to new countries. But yeah, Rickard, maybe you want to tell your story to begin with. Like, when was the first time you moved abroad? How old were you? For what reason? And yeah, how did it go?
Yeah, no, but a long story short, I played a sport called bandy, and I can say that I moved from home when I was 16 to study on high school, and in a sports high school. So I kind of moved within the country in Sweden, and then I also played in different clubs in bandy during my like start of the senior career, you can say. So would call I was like a bandy vagabond. I lived in different cities, and then when I was around 26, maybe I decided to but what is the next step in my life? And then I decided to move to Norway. So that was my call it first move abroad, and that is around 16 years ago. And it was for work, but also to test out to play bandy in a different country and in a different environment. And I think people think that Scandinavia is the same, that Norway and Sweden is very similar and that everything is the same. But to be honest, the cultures are a bit different. And it's very hard to understand Norwegian. Because Norwegians understand Swedish because they have been growing up with Swedish TV, Swedish music and everything. So they understand our language better, but it's harder to understand Norwegian for a Swedish person. It's very hard dialect for us. Yeah. So learning the language was one thing. And then, of course, like culture things of, how you act and behave and what systems you need to be in to, be able to get social security, social support, to get a doctor, to get your tax paper in place. All those things is, of course, new, even if you move between Sweden and Norway. Yeah. So all those things was a new learning, and also maybe a system of how you get an apartment. Everything is kind of private owned in Norway, so you need to rent from a person. But in Sweden, it's maybe more a system where you can rent from the government or from like multiplicity, like owned apartment. So it was like a big move. And then, of course, your network is zero, so no one. So you need to build up everything from scratch as well. Yeah. So that was like a big move, but at the same time, a really nice adventure and a good start of something new. And here I am today. And I also, have apartment in Spain and have been a part of that journey. But and that is also different. But I think that is maybe something we can touch on more on you that moved to the south part of Europe, starting in Cyprus and then moving to Spain. Like, how was it for you to move out of the Nordic part of Europe?
No, but it was very different. I was 19 at the time when I first made my move, and yes, I had been thinking about moving abroad for a long time. I always wanted to work internationally, so I was a little bit prepared for it. But at the same time, the process itself, like from applying to a job to actually starting the job, was 3 weeks. So it wasn't like a long time to think and, plan much more. It was basically getting the job, passing those job interviews, packing the bag, hugging mom and dad goodbye, and then off I went. And I was relocating with a friend. So of course it was a lot easier because, all the challenges and the joy you can kind of share together. So that was nice. It was a big culture shock, of course. I mean, Cyprus, for those who doesn't know it, it's based in the Mediterranean, beneath Greece and just outside the coast of the Middle East. So the culture there, I would describe absolutely like you have the European influence. People speak Greek. For example, they drive on the wrong side for us Europeans. So there was a lot of culture shocks, and then also they have these influence from the Middle East in Cyprus, with how the culture works there. So everything was completely new. Of course, I'd been on vacation in Spain and so on, but to actually move somewhere and to such a different place and live there was it was a shock. It was.
Cyprus is closer to like Syria, Turkey, and those countries compared to, for example, Spain and Italy and France, right? So it's more towards Middle East, like you said, and maybe it have an impact of that culture, like you said, and also that things are a bit different in that part of the world.
It is
compared to what we are used to.
Yeah, you mentioned these things. now when you moved to Norway, you know, all the paperwork, administrative stuff you need to do, finding an apartment. And yeah, it's a different world on Cyprus. Most things are done through paper. They're not so, or at least were when I was there, not so digitalized. Once we found our apartment, it was quite easy actually, but everything was paid in cash. So both the deposit on the apartment, the first rent, the agency fee, everything was paid in cash. So I remember we took out like a envelope and we just went to an ATM, and you know, our bank cards had a limit of how much money you could withdraw per day. So we had to go to like 4 different ATMs just to withdraw. I think it was 4,000 euros, put it in an envelope, and then go to the landlord and pay off that first payment. And the same thing was with like electricity and water bills. Or no, electricity actually you could pay online. You had to log into this like old portal, Windows Explorer from early 2000s, and you could actually sort things out online. But the water, we had to go and pay it like once every 3 months in person, like with cash. So it was all very new, all very different, but at the same time very fun. It's something you look back on now, even though it was stressful. You look back on it now and you kind of laugh about it and kind of happy that you experienced it.
I think you grow with those experience, right? It's very annoying, and it's a bit like tricky to understand why things are like this when you're not used to it. But when you overcome those local
culture specific challenges,
yeah, like, in a way, yeah. When you overcome them, I think you grow as a person, right? And then everything becomes much more easy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now when I have experienced it myself, and then also recruited a lot of people abroad and also met a lot of people who have lived abroad, one thing I notice is that it's very, very common pattern. It's almost like a timeline of how the experience usually is, because the first month you move abroad, the first weeks at least, it's a little bit stressful. You mentioned like the paperwork, finding an apartment, you're fresh at work, so everything is new, but not maybe in the nicest way. So you have a little bit of stress around fixing everything because everything is new. And then after you've passed that period, like let's say the first month, usually you come to the so-called honeymoon phase, when you have sorted all the administrative stuff, you've started to meet new people, you have a place to stay, and everything is still new. So you're just exploring the country, learning the culture, meeting new people. Everything is so fun. And that feeling, it's like, even though you work, it's like you're on a vacation because everything is new. You're not bothered that you have to work or have routines or anything. You live like it's a vacation basically.
Yeah, a workation moment.
Yeah. Exactly. And I still remember that part for me. It lasted for like 2-3 months. It usually does for people. But then the reality hits after 3 months usually. And this is a part of this timeline that I was speaking about, that it's not as new and fresh and exciting as it maybe was the first couple of months. Your onboarding period at work or your probation period is over, so you actually have like expectations, maybe you have targets at your job and goals that you need to meet, so you're a little bit more stressed about work, and you're starting to get in the daily life. And this is where you mentioned these like culture specific challenges. You start to notice them very clearly, and I remember that was the same for me in Cyprus. Then I started to see like, okay, no, but this works way better in Sweden. We can pay with cash, and we have something called Swish where you don't even need to have a bank card. And you know, you start to see these challenges a lot more because you're not in that honeymoon phase anymore. I don't know how it was for you, but in my period when I moved to Cyprus, was like the make it or break it moment, if I was gonna stay or move back. But how was it for you when you moved to Norway? Did you think that you were gonna be there now 15 years later, or was it more short term? Or
like I said, I really don't feel that I am connected to a specific town because I moved so early in my life. So I have always felt that I have been like a nomad, like a guy on the road that have tested different cities, different like sport clubs, been on different projects and so on. But when I moved to Norway and kind of, I would say, start to settle down, becoming a bit older, but also like getting a job in the recruitment industry where I could see career growth, and also something I jumped on very early was also sport. Like I mentioned, bandy. I combined job and bandy already from day one. So I built a network with friends from day one in sports. And it was also some Swedish players in the team. So I had a small network of people from my home country. So I think for me it was but easy also to see a journey and my life being in Norway for some time. And of course, then after some time, but you establish thing. I find my girlfriend. We bought an apartment, and you established a company, and you have a business partner, and everything. Then connects and shapes your life in a way. But also then back to this. What do you call it? This. I always have had this trigger, like this big feeling inside of me that I want to also live abroad, and I think be in the south part of Europe, and Spain have always been a country I have loved. So also now, like 5 years ago, making the decision to set up an office in Spain, buying an apartment, moving 3-4 months of your life over to Spain, and having the best of the north and the south part of Europe is something that's really motivating and triggering me to mix up my life and my workday a bit, and that is a big motivation today. And I think, like, as well, like you have stayed in as well abroad now, and soon in Barcelona for 3 years in Spain as well. Like, what do you think is the motivation to stay in Spain and in Barcelona?
It's a good question. I think, like, as for many people, whether they are studying abroad or they are working abroad, like I was in Cyprus, it kind of opens up a new world. It sounds a little bit cheesy to say, but it's kind of difficult to move back to the small village that I came from and continue my life there when I've already been working abroad for 2 years, like I was in Cyprus. It's island life. You're quite isolated. You're not connected to mainland Europe, so that wasn't an option. But like you said, also I've always had something for Spain. I mean, we have been both there during our teenage years and childhood on vacations, and I studied Spanish, so I wanted to get more use of my studies and also get to a new level with that. And Barcelona felt like a good mix between everything. It had the international environment with a lot of expats, like-minded people who are moving there to work and also do serious work. People don't move there to become bartenders or work in nightclubs. They actually move there to work for tech companies or firms or wherever it might be. So that was one part, the international expat community. The Spanish part that I mentioned, and also that the city itself has so much to offer. Not only weather, of course, meaning you can spend a lot of your life outdoors, which I enjoy, and trying to stay active. Love sports, so of course more time for that during the year, but also that it has like this mix that whether you're a person who likes, I don't know, culture and music, they have concerts and festivals and artists coming here all year. If you're into sports, wow, you have football, you have padel, you have running clubs, you have one of the world's best football teams in the world to go and watch, so you have that. And if you enjoy the fun life and want to go out and enjoy the nightlife, then you have some of the best nightlife in Europe as well. So it was like a good mix of everything that came together.
Can you get bored of Barcelona as well?
Yeah, of course. I think like with any city and any place that you stay, it becomes daily life after some time. You establish your routines, you're walking in the same streets. I live 4 minutes from my office, so most time during the week. I mean, I stay in my suburb, or not suburb, but my neighborhood here in Barcelona, in Poblenou. So it becomes daily life as well, and it's not going to be fun and exciting all the time, but I know at least that if I want to see something new, if I want to try a new restaurant, if I want to go to a new event, there's always going to be something going on. And if I get tired of it, I have a well-connected airport to the rest of Europe and also the rest of the world. So it's a good base for sure.
Yeah. And what about one thing that we have not touched on as well, the weather?
Yeah, no, but the weather is amazing. I mean, for me, like what I enjoy about it is I can say it like this: Cyprus had even warmer climate, so to say. But I'm an advocate that I don't really think that the hotter the better, if you know what I mean. I don't enjoy it when it's 36, 37, 38 degrees Celsius in the summer. I cannot do my sports then, for example. You can barely go to the beach because it's, dangerous. So I think that Barcelona is good because it has hot and long summers, but not extremely hot. And you still have these 4 seasons almost, that it's green, it's lush because it's raining quite a bit in the winter. You have an autumn, you have a spring. So you have these 4 seasons that I didn't have on Cyprus. In Cyprus, you just have wet and dry, and it's always hot. And then even, if you like winter activities and you want to go skiing, you have 2 hours to Andorra and the mountains here. So it's not, that's not out of the picture either. So no, it's a great place in my opinion.
Yeah, no, but that is also like for myself as well with Spain, and I think why I love the combination of north and south, the opportunity to travel and live in both areas of Europe, is that in the north, some periods of the year it can be very like A4 put to a specific, like your life is in a specific schedule. It's like you stand up, you maybe train in the morning, you go to work, you maybe train after work, or you cook dinner, and then it's like, okay, what's next? Okay, Netflix from 6 to 10, and then you have a routine to go to bed again, and that's your life for 3-4 months, and it's dark, and maybe one day windy, next day raining, the third day snow. So it's like a very set time of the year when you're a lot inside. But in Spain, you're outside all the time. Like you have your apartment to take a shower, to sleep, to keep your clothes, and change, almost like a changing room or something. And then you're outside all the time. And that is what I love with Spain. You're outdoor. It's not only always about doing activities, but it's about the social part as well. You meet friends. You're close to the beach. I love to be close to the water. I love it. And Norway is also, like Oslo is also a town that is connected to the fjords and to the ocean. So I love to be close to the water. And when you're in Spain, you can be outside and close to the water all the time. And that is unique. And, if you have 320 sunny days per year, you also get a lot of D vitamin that also boosts your energy level. So that's what I love with Spain and south part of Europe.
When we have the luxury of that and the privilege in Europe, if you have a European passport, all countries within the European Union can be your playing field. So you're not stuck to a country. So yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you, Rickard, was basically, since you've also worked with relocating a lot of people, I mean, that was the idea when the company started, and we're still doing it, recruiting people across borders. If you had to give yourself some advice, before you had moved abroad, about some things you need to know, some tips and tricks to set the expectations right, what would be your advice to someone who is planning to move abroad, or who is going to do it in the near future?
No, but one thing is maybe what you said, like to understand that there's different phases in your first period when you move. Like you said, okay, maybe you struggle a bit in the start, then you have the honeymoon, then you have the normal work life day, and then it becomes your daily life. So set the expectations right from the beginning. And don't compare too much as well. Going around and being frustrated over things that is not working correct in Spain would make you crazy in a way. So So don't compare too much, like accept the culture that you are moving to a bit and adapt to it as good as you can. And then of course, like building a network with people, like can be expats, but it can also be locals. Like build a network so you have people to hang out with, or if you need to solve different solutions, that you know where to go and who to speak with, like those kind of things.
Do you have any tips on how you can do that? Let's say you move alone to a country you've never been, move to Lisbon, for example. You don't know anyone there. You're moving alone. Do you have any tips on how you quickly can build up that network?
Yeah, but there are so many different communities today. I think, like, for example, old school Facebook, you have different groups where you can connect with people. You also see things online where there is different social events and networking. Of course, if you are not a digital nomad, but you actually work in an office or meeting people in a team, you can connect with them and build relationships. And then, of course, if you're interested in things like sports, or if you are an artist, meeting up to different events, even if you're not playing in a team, I think you, Martin, use an app to just connect and play with people in football, like 5-a-side or 7-against-7, right? So there is different ways to socialize and connect. And I think that is the most important thing, so you don't feel alone.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any tips for the people who have entered this phase of moving abroad? Then they may be past this honeymoon phase and they start to miss home, and maybe get into a dark place. They start to compare, like you said. Do you have any tips for these people? Like, how should you think, and when do you know if you should actually give it a chance and stay longer, and when should you move back, for example?
Yeah, but give it a chance to actually look at it more. Is this a place I'm going to stay? Do I have a long-term purpose? Also, what is it that is holding me back? For example, say that you don't like the apartment you live in, that it creates problem for you on a daily basis, so it makes you stressed or frustrated. Okay, but try to find a new apartment. If you feel a bit alone, okay, but see if you can do something on your end to find friends. Find hobbies and activities that is connected to a daily life, not only like a one-time experience, but more to become daily routine, so you also get the same kind of lifestyle abroad as you have at home. And then of course also, like, maybe book up activities for the weekends. Like, for example, say that you move to Malaga, Andalusia, and there is like 50 different places you can go in the weekends to get new inspiration, to meet new people, to see new historical places or nice beaches and so on. So, like, take on that responsibility yourself. But at some point, of course, if you feel that I miss my friends or family at home, or I like the Nordic lifestyle and culture better than Spain, of course, then you have tested it out and you can always move back. But on every setback shouldn't be a reason to move, if you know what I mean. Then you should work on the solution on the setback. And if you find a solution, it can actually improve your life and your standard and your motivation to stay.
Oh, but I agree. It's like you say, sometimes that feeling of, I'm done here, I want to go back, can be something small, like, okay, you need an activity to do during the weekdays after work. And once you come up with that, you kind of solved it, and that feeling will be gone of moving back home. So no, that's a good tip to kind of put a diagnosis on the actual problem.
A question.
Yeah.
Say that you are moving again, either for a short time of period as a test, or like long term, like changing.
Yeah.
You're leaving Barcelona now, like booking the flight tickets. Where are you going and why?
Mexico. Quick answer. No, Mexico is it's a great place. Been there before. I love everything about Mexico from what I've seen so far. I love the food. The Mexican cuisine is my favorite. I cook it at home. I have my slow cooker. I have my recipes for making the tacos and fajitas and so on. So that's one part. I like the culture there, the music. And also I'm a bit of a history nerd. I like these shows that goes on Netflix and so on called the Ancient Civilizations, and they have a lot of pyramids from the old Mayan people, for example. Some really impressive constructions that they made back then. So that's something that fascinates me a lot. And then of course the beautiful weather. You have both the west coast towards the Pacific, I guess, with Cabo and those places. But then also the east coast, which is more towards the Caribbean Sea, which is amazing as well. So no, Mexico is a great place, and I think also for meeting other expats, but a different type of expats. I think you have more American people there working who are living there for the same reason we, for example, moved to Spain, because we want to live more outside and we want to break the comfort zone. I've seen a lot of American people moving to Mexico, for example, and then they are staying within the same time zone. They have quite close flights home, so it's not the other side of the world for them. So still good expat community, and yeah, I like that part of the world, the Caribbean Sea and so on. So Mexico for sure. How about yourself? Nice. Is it as straightforward?
To be honest, I think like I like to travel, and I like different parts of the world. Like Asia is my favorite holiday destination, but I don't think I would ever live there because it's so overpopulated in the cities that I want to live in, for example, Bangkok or Manila and so on. So I don't think I want to live there, but it's super nice to go there and visit. I have been thinking about like cities like Dubai a few times as well, because it's, a very modern, fast growing community with an expat population as well. There's like 4 million people living in United Arab Emirates, but it's like 700,000 that is Arabs and 3.3 million that is expats from different parts of the world. It can be like from East Europe, it can be from North Europe, it can be from South Europe, it can be from Asia, it can be from Latam. So that would be cool, but as well, there is some laws there that is maybe not connected so much to the culture we are used to. There is also, of course, a very hot weather some parts of the year with like 40, 50 degrees Celsius. So not sure about Dubai either. I mentioned
Have you been there,
London.
by the way?
Yeah, been in Dubai.
Yeah.
It's a really like futuristic city.
I've
you
seen
take the hop off bus, and in all other cities you are traveling and you are looking at like all the historical monuments and churches and stuff, but like when you go to Dubai you just look on futuristic skyscrapers,
Burj Khalifa and stuff. Yeah.
I think I mentioned it in an episode, like London before Brexit would be cool. It was like a startup mecca in Europe, and all like headquarters for many like international companies was based in London, so that would have been a metropole to live in. But no, I'm happy with Malaga. I think Malaga is fantastic, like I mentioned many times, and traveling and testing different parts of the world is maybe more exciting for me, like at the moment, but I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, if you had to present or highlight your biggest takeaways of this international lifestyle, what do you think is the biggest benefit of making the move to move abroad and work abroad?
Culture exchange, 100%. To meet new people, to see new cultures, to learn from other people. You get a totally different respect of how things are and how people are thinking, and also like when you connect with them on a social aspect or in business, like there is so many nice things with this culture exchange, and to experience that and to see other cultures and maybe some parts in other cultures that fits you better as a person compared to how you are educated or learned in your home country. Like, for example, I love some parts with Spanish culture, but I also love some parts with Thai culture, for example. So, embracing them into me as a person have been really nice. And also then being able to see how people live and act in Thailand or live and act in Spain is like making an impact, and having that culture exchange is the biggest reason, I would say, to go.
And I was just gonna add, like, it's not something either that you can get the same from if you go on a holiday, if you know what I mean. You get a completely different also when it comes to living in another place, or spending at least 1 month in a place. Just going for a week in Italy will not give you that real deep understanding of the culture, how daily life is, and so on. So no, I agree.
That is the biggest takeout. And is it the same for you, or do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, but I can agree on it. I think the culture exchange part is a big thing of it. You learn a lot, but also you learn a lot about yourself and your own culture. Like when I moved to Cyprus, I started to feel more and more proud of Sweden and the traditions we have and the cultures we have. Speaking good about IKEA, Zlatan, and have our things and traditions and midsummer and all of that, the cold winters, to be able to just as we are curious when we meet new people with their cultures, they start asking questions about your culture, and you kind of start to appreciate it more and see more that, okay, but my village where I come from is it's also a really nice place, which these people would have seen with completely different eyes. So it opens up like a new perspective for yourself as well on your own culture. And then another thing, it's quite closely connected, but to leave the comfort zone, I would say is a big factor, or a big benefit that comes with moving abroad. It's not supposed to be, comfortable. It's not supposed to be the vacation. Like, that's something also I would suggest someone who is moving abroad. Like, don't expect that it's gonna be a walk on roses the whole way. That's not why you're doing it. Then you would just go for a vacation and then you're done. You're actually going there to grow as a person. So these challenges that comes up, it's see it as a part of the process. That's what makes you grow in them.
Ramp it up a bit, asking you some quick questions with single answers. If you have to choose between meatballs and gyros.
Meatballs.
Meatballs or tacos?
Tacos.
Barcelona or Limassol?
Barcelona.
Barcelona or Vattholma?
Vattholma.
Okay. So you think you will end back in Sweden then in the future, or do you see yourself living abroad the rest of your life?
There are a lot of cities who are, great in this world, but home is always home. It's always gotta be it. But that's like you say, you can enjoy tacos more than meat. You pick out the things that you like from each culture. And but no, for me, home is home. Can't pick anything over it.
Yeah, but I was a bit. Was funny to hear that you said meatballs over gyros, because I know you lived in Cyprus. You eat gyros 5 days per week, so maybe.
Exactly. No, but I haven't eaten meatballs. I haven't eaten meatballs 5 days per week, so that's probably why I've gotten a bit tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. No, but any final words for the listeners?
I think it's been a great episode. Maybe just to add, like if there's someone who's been listening to this who has gotten inspired and maybe has questions about how do I get started? I want to move abroad. I want to leave my comfort zone. I want to experience new cultures. What is the first step to make? And yeah, get in touch with a recruitment agency like ourselves. We specialize in relocating people abroad. We've been doing it for 10 years. We have connections with 400 companies in 34 countries. So we have done this over and over, 8 hours per day for 10 years, as mentioned. So it's also nice to get someone who can not hold your hand, but to be there as a support along the way. a lot of people who are working internally in our company are also expats themselves. So they can share their personal stories, their support and advice along the process, not only when it comes to the job, which is one part, but when it comes to the actual relocations to the new country. So that would be my biggest tip if you're listening to this and you feel like it's time to leave my hometown.
Hello, everyone. It's Martin here. So, as we were trying to wrap up this episode, for some reason the recording stopped. So, unfortunately, we don't have the last 60, 90 seconds of this episode, but we hope that you all enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it for you. And we hope you have learned something. And of course, if you do have any questions, feel free to email us with using the email in the podcast description. And thank you for listening. We hope to see you in 2 weeks. Ciao, ciao.